how's it going, everybody? Fan here, and today we're taking a look at Minecraft Snapshot 14w25a. And as you can see in the foreground, there are some big changes. So, this is an underwater temple here, and you'll see swimming around near the surface there is the new mob. And these new mobs are called Guardians. You can see they are green with some orange tentacles. They have an eye. That eye will follow you as you move from side to side, as you can see there. And they have sort of like a tail that can propel them forward. They're quite fast, and you'll see they are a ranged mob. They do attack squid and players with that sort of almost like a laser beam almost. I'll show you here by switching into survival game mode. Game mode 0 here. They do quite a bit of damage here. There you go, that's with full diamond armor. And they're quite hard to kill as well. So I'm going to change back to creative mode here. You'll see if you hit them, they swim away quite quickly. And yeah, you saw that sort of jump scare there. That's actually a jump scare for a bigger version of the Guardian here, called the Elder Guardian. I'm just going to dig into the temple here and show you what they look like. So here is the Elder Guardian. There's only a few of these per underwater temple. They're much bigger and much more powerful than the smaller Guardians. And as you can see, they have different texture. Their eye also follows you, as you can see. They take 40 hearts of damage, and if you kill these guys, you'll see they drop a wet sponge and also a prismarine shard. This entire underwater fortress here is actually made of prismarine and also sea lanterns. So you'll see here we have prismarine bricks. This color changing block here, this is actually the prismarine. Then we got sea lanterns, which have an animated texture. You can sort of see that there. Sort of emanates from the center and goes out in like a circle pattern there. And then over here we have some dark prismarine. You can craft all these blocks as well. I'll show you that. Let me move over here. I'll just drop down and show you what these guys do once they are killed. They drop, actually, so they drop, as you can see there, some prismarine shards and some prismarine crystals. They can also drop fish, I believe. But this whole underwater temple area is sort of like a big labyrinth, as you can see. A lot of different rooms and different corridors you can go down. Just get through here. There we go. Yeah, so it's quite big. And as I said before, defended by all these dozens of Guardians. And this is the very center of the temple here. And inside here you can see there are gold blocks there that players can mine. So that's sort of like a reward for getting to the center of the temple. So pretty interesting there. And then some rooms in these temples do actually contain a lot of sponges. And let me just go into game mode 1 before I drown. Yeah, you can actually harvest these sponges, I believe, if we have a pickaxe. Let me just get one out of the inventory. Let's see if that's true. Pickaxe. Oh, I'm still in creative. Game mode 0. Okay, so it appears that sponge does spawn naturally in this underground area, but you can't actually harvest it quite yet with anything. However, you can, again, get the sponge by killing the Guardian Elder. Alright, and just for reference, this is sort of what the temple looks like without night vision. It's a lot more dark and gloomy. We don't have a night vision potion. And those sounds you're hearing are actually the Guardians shooting at squid and things like that. So kind of kind of an interesting place there. Alright, and you can spawn guardians on land, and they'll try to make their way back to the water. They have different sounds for when they're above water than when they're actually in water. So that's kind of interesting. But here's the block prismarine. And I'll just show you here in a quick time lapse that it does slowly change color over time. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so there you go. Prismarine does indeed change color over time, although very slowly. And you can craft the prismarine after finding an underwater dungeon. You have to gather these shards from the guardians that you kill and place them in a 4x4 like that, and there you go. You got prismarine. So pretty cool. Alright, and you can also craft some of the other variants of prismarine and also sea lanterns. So first, sea lanterns can be crafted by placing prismarine crystals in sort of a plus pattern, and then all the other spaces are filled in with prismarine shards to get a sea lantern. And of course, this has an animated texture there. You can see the circle animation there, hopefully. It's very faint, but it is there. Next up, if you want prismarine bricks, you can do a 9x9 of prismarine shards. And there you go, prismarine bricks, just like that. And then you have dark prismarine, which actually requires prismarine shards and actually an ink sac, because it is dark after all. So ink sac, prismarine shards, and there you go. Dark prismarine, right there. And all these blocks really do fit together quite nicely, as you can see. So yeah, definitely really cool additions to the game. And there is another new block added in this week's snapshot, and that is coarse dirt. So coarse dirt, as opposed to regular dirt, as you can see there, is a little bit darker. And it also has the unique ability that grass cannot grow on it. So grass will never grow on that coarse dirt, and it can be crafted actually by placing dirt and gravel in the crafting table like that. So hooray, finally a use for gravel. Alright, and we also have a new enchantment this week, and that is the Depth Strider enchantment. And this allows you to move much quicker underwater than you normally can. So you'll see I'm walking along at a pretty good clip right here. But if I take off the boots, you'll see I move now at a snail's pace. So Depth Strider enchantment is going to be critical for taking over these underwater temples here. Also new this week, if you put stone bricks into a furnace, you can now smelt them. And smelting will eventually turn them into some cracked stone bricks. So previously, cracked stone brick was only available in strongholds, but now we can smelt it in our furnaces. One really interesting change this week is that you can now spawn any Craftool mobs in any orientation. So for instance, I'll just craft up an iron golem here, and you'll see it still makes the iron golem despite the fact that it was laying down. Now this also does apply to things like the wither here, so let me just show you that, if this golem will get out of the way. There we go, just like that. And so the implications of this are particularly interesting when you consider snow golems. So here I have two snow blocks right next to each other with the black gap in the center and pumpkin stems all along here. So what's going to happen eventually is these pumpkin stems will grow into the block right next to them and yeah, make a snow golem just like you saw there. So sort of an easy and simple way to create a snow golem army without you actually having to place the pumpkin. And so taking this idea here to the limit, you can actually make a semi-automatic snow golem or iron golem farm just by making the following clock here, filling this dispenser with pumpkins, hooking it up, and you see we make snow golems now. Sometimes you have to punch them out of the way to get rid of them, but It's a pretty simple way to make a snow golem army now. So yeah, pretty straightforward there. Also new this week, if you have a wet sponge you got from an Elder Guardian in those underwater temples, you can throw it into a furnace and it'll turn your previously wet sponge into a regular sponge. So the sponge now available in survival. And the sponge, what it does is it temporarily removes all water source blocks within a 6x6 area. So you'll see there you go. It only works if it's touching another water source block. So there it works, but if I were to place it here, it would not work. So it has to be touching a water source block to remove them. And it'll make it really easy to clear large patches of water. Let me just give you an example here. Alright, so say for example you wanted to clear out this lake, you could just go ahead and place down a few sponge blocks here and there. And there you go. 3 sponge blocks cleared out that entire lake. And you'll see they now all have become wet sponges with the particle effects. One small but welcome change this week is to signs. And signs now are no longer limited by the text length, but rather by the character width. So depending on how wide each one is, you can fit more or less characters on the line. Alright everybody, so there's also been some good changes to command blocks and the scoreboard command in particular. So they added a few more operators. They added the greater than, less than, or equal to operators. So I'll show you what that means. So over here on the right hand side you'll see that we have some scores here. So Notch has a score of 2 and I have a score of 1. Now if we run a command like this, what this does is it tests for a maximum score. That's what this greater than symbol is. As I said, there's also less than and equal to. But it'll test to see if Notch's score is greater than my score right here. And if that is true, then it will set my score to Notch's score. So let's just see that in action. Boom. So it found that my score was less than Notch's score, or actually it's Notch's score was greater than mine. And it saw that and set me to the same score. So this will be easier, make it easier to do events with teams and make scoring a lot easier when using command blocks. Another small feature added this week is that if you hit tab in multiplayer, you will now see an avatar of your skin in the menu. Alright everybody, so there are also some other things like written text in books can now be colored when the book is summoned in. And of course lots of bug fixes, but very excited about these underwater structures and the new mobs. So that's going to be it for me today guys. Thank you very much for watching. This has been CubFan. Goodbye.